Hey everybody, welcome to Cousin Jack Carves. Today we're going to wrap up the final part of our tutorial on carving a teeny tiny little angel. It's a challenging project because of the size of the piece. So when we're wrapping up today, we'll finish detailing around the arms, the hands, the hair and the face, and so on. I'll show you how I go about wood burning the piece after I finish the detailing. And then I'll also show you a very simple and quick, relatively easy finish that you can put on your carving with some Howard feed and wax. So today I also want to thank everybody for the support, the likes, people who are hitting that like button. It really does help. Leaving comments, I really enjoy that. I try to respond to everyone. Let's get started. So let's wrap this thing up, folks. First of all, I want to show you that I did finish the texturing on the back of the wing. You know, last time I showed you this side and I said I'd go ahead and do this part, which I did. I also lowered this centerpiece of the wing. Remember in the drawing, this came down and curved below the head. And I wanted to make sure that I had the back of the head sort of peeking out. So I took this down in the center just a little bit. And I'll show you that from the front angle, so you can see that. So there's a little bit more of a dip, which is what I intended at the beginning. So today we're going to wrap it up, like I said, and that'll include coming in here to put some separation in here between the hands and the sleeves. We'll round these arms, notch in the elbow. We'll pull in some separation here between where that chin would be and some space that needs to happen next to that chin, and a little bit of a triangle next to the hands on each side. And of course we'll kind of undercut this face and tuck it in behind the hair. We're really working on detail now, and this is a pretty small piece. So I'll be using a detail knife. Once we finish the carving part, I'm going to show you the wood burning that I'll do, and then a really quick, really simple finish that you can apply that has no solvents in it. It's the same thing I used. It's Howard feed and wax. I used that when I gave my mom the very first angel that I carved, because she has a sensitivity to formaldehyde and other types of chemical agents, right? So I wanted to make sure I didn't use any sort of polyurethane, polyacrylic, wood stain, nothing, just the Howard feed and wax, and I'll show you that application. So let's start out with the detail knife. This is a Helvey 1-inch mini detail knife. You can see it's got a pretty small blade, comes to a nice point. And the wrap that I'm using, this is an overgrip. I do have a video all about this wrap, folks. I love it. I think you'll love it too. I'll put a card at the top of the screen. You can click on that and you go watch the video. Just come back when you're done watching that one. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to undercut this area between the hand and the sleeves. So in order to get the hand, sort of the wrists that is, tucked underneath the sleeve, we want to come in with an angle to our edge, right, cutting this way, and that'll give that effect so that the arm is kind of disappearing down into the sleeve. So I'll just start up here with the angle that I want and just draw my blade along like that. And then, since I want this part of the piece tucked under the other, I'll just come back at that stop cut and remove a little bit of a sliver, just like that. Same thing on the other side. I'll turn this upside down, being a lefty. Again, I want to angle my blade to get that undercut and bring it up, just like that. And then I'll just carve over to it. Again, removing a tiny little sliver with this little detail knife. You know, folks, I will tell you, carving small things is difficult. if you're a beginner, and most beginners will do this, they'll start out carving small things. Folks, it's difficult, okay? All right, so we're creating some shadows, and you can see I've got some pencil marks on there. We'll make sure and get rid of those. But we want to get that tucked under there. Now we're going to round these sleeves. You can see that we've got a sharp edge here. We're just going to do some rounding. Just to soften that up a little bit. And we'll go along the top edge as well. Just to make sure we kind of have a refined look to our carving. We don't want it to be too sharp an edge. Like I say, when you're doing a small little piece like this, a detail knife is a big help. Now I also know that on this side I've got that arm sort of tucked underneath the hair. I'm going to go ahead and just bring that arm back just slightly. Create a little space there. And of course you do want to remove any bandsaw marks that you might still have remaining, if at all. Okay. And we'll do the same over here. Now on this side, I do have the elbow showing, and the hair is sort of tucking underneath the arm. Okay, the arm is out in front, the hair tucks down below, behind that arm. So I do want to cut in a small notch just where that elbow would be, to show that little bend in the elbow. Just going to take out a small little wedge there. Now I could do that with a wood burner. That'll do the same type of an effect, especially if you're working on a small piece. Wood burner will do fine. Okay, so now we'll just again kind of smooth over some of these sharp edges. Going to also remove that pencil mark. And round the bottom of that sleeve, just like the other one. There we go. And then just do a little rounding over here where that shoulder kind of starts to disappear upward and then disappears behind the hair. Yeah. All right. So we've done some rounding, we've done some detailing, and I think we're getting into some pretty good shape. One of the things that needs to happen, though, is we need to sort of create some separation here so that we know that the face and this chin really is a chin, but there is a space there, and I'll show you as an example for taking a look anyway. You see right here we've got the chin and then some emptiness here. Well, we need that space. We need to create that effect. And to do that, we'll take out a series of triangles. There's going to be a triangle on this side of the chin, and of course another one on this side of the chin. And we'll remove those. Then there's another little triangle here next to the hands. Same on the other side. Now, we're using that approach because if I decided to come in here and just cut straight down, there's a chance we could create some fuzzies. And the triangle should give us some really good depth up here near the chin. So we'll start by bringing that knife to that point where the hair comes off of the face, and put the tip of the blade in. Draw that back just a little bit. Then come along the other angle, following down along the chin. Again, put the blade, tip of that blade in, draw it back down, just like that. And then the rest of the triangle will be along this side. right here. And then to remove it, I'm just going to come back up this way, following that line for the hair, up to where it meets the chin, and Bob's your uncle. Jack's your cousin. All right, triangle removed. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, we'll come up here to that point where the hair meets the face, come down along where that line is for the chin, just like that. Come down along the other edge, again where the hair comes off the face, and bring that down along following the line for the hair. And then of course from the top of the hands we have a little cut like that. And then for removing it, I'm going to come back along this edge where the hair is. If it doesn't want to come loose, just get back in there and make your cuts. You don't want to create a situation where you got a bunch of fuzzies, okay? That's the last thing you want. There it goes. So now, as you can see, we're going to have a chin. We've got some space in here, which is exactly what we're looking for. So for these other triangles along the hands, they don't have to be as deep in terms of the space that we're seeking here. Well, I will come in here, kind of put the tip of that blade in, come up alongside the hands, come in from this angle, same thing, and then follow along the line for the hair on an angle, just like that. And there we go. Let's do the other side. You know, I hope you're having fun. I think I've mentioned this before. I've seen some posts from some carvers saying that they get this anxiety, and it's mostly when they're starting out a carving, a feeling of uncertainty, and you know what that is? It's just confidence, folks. What I'm saying is enjoy yourself, enjoy the ride, enjoy the feel of that knife cutting into the wood and slicing, and just every bit of it, even when your triangle doesn't want to pop out. It'll get there. When you're working on a small piece, you do have to be gentle and careful and patient. And with that confidence that I mentioned, that will come. If you get a situation where you got little specks of wood down in there, get yourself a denture brush. Go to the grocery store, go to the pharmacy, get yourself one of these. It's a great tool for attacking those fuzzies. Got some nice stiff bristles to it. And you really have two tools in one, because you've got this long flat side surface, and then you have this other conical shape that's really good for getting down into spaces. You can give it a good brush. There we go. Okay, so now you know what I want to do next is just kind of finish shaping these hands. What I'd like to do is get a little more of an angle on these hands, so that from the base of the hands to the top of the fingers, there's a little bit more of a 45-degree angle here to show that those hands, she's praying and those hands are at an angle. I also want to do a little bit of shaping around those hands just to clean it up a little bit. So on this side, for example, I'm just going to take out a little piece of wood right there. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to start bringing the tip of the hands, the fingers down just slightly. You have to be patient, like I said. Takes off a little bit at a time. Keep checking. See if you have the angle that you're looking for. A little bit of shaping. Yeah, that angle is starting to show up already. So yeah, make sure you take a look at your carving from all different sides till you're happy with the shape and the angle that you have. So I'm okay with that one right there. And so I'll just move on. Next thing I want to do is undercut this face to show that it's sort of tucking in underneath the hairline there. So on my cut, I want to use an angle. I'll start off over here. Just follow along that line, that oval coming around the face. And this is not a deep cut, folks. This is a shallow cut, because we don't need a lot of separation when it comes to the face and the hair. Just a line. And you could, again, do this with your wood burner if you wanted to. You don't really have to use a knife for this. You could also use a very small V-tool, like a micro V-tool, and get the same effect. Yeah, we just want to undercut that a little bit. And take out a sliver of wood. Just like that. And I'll come up the other side with the same intent. Again, the idea here is we're just trying to create a small shadow. Show that separation between the face and the hair. And I will be kind of going over this with the wood burner to increase the impact and the effect and get that separation. And I'll come up around the top again just to get that curve. All right. Take off some pencil marks here. Now, when you are shaping that face, as I mentioned, you want to have just a small sort of a ridge line where that nose would be. And then the rest of it, you really want to have some smooth look to that face, because it's a stylized angel. And in my view anyway, right, the look I'm going for is something soft, smooth. And so even if you need to, you can take a little piece of sandpaper, fold it up, and sort of smooth any of the surfaces that you're not happy with. If you have some rough looking surfaces on that face and you want to smooth it out and soften it up some, sandpaper will do that for you. You know, use a really fine grit and go slowly. Should be fine. All right, so I'm just shaping this hair and removing some of those pencil marks. I'm going to go ahead and come along the edges of that hair and finish shaping it out. All right, so we'll just finish kind of softening up the edges here. We'll give it a brush. I like to look at it from different angles. All right, yep. So I think we're good with the detailing on this. I'm going to grab my wood burner. I'm going to show you how we'll sort of come around here with the wood burner and separate out these borders and put a line right down here through the middle of the hands to show some separation there. If you don't have a wood burner, of course, you could use your knife or a small V tool to create that separation in the hands, or even a Sharpie or a black paint pen. You know, lots of different options to do that and create that separation. So let's grab the wood burner. You can see on this example carving that I wood burned this spot here, right, to show that separation in the hands, and went underneath the arms, along the hair, just sort of outlined with the wood burner. And then, of course, I used the wood burner to put my monogram on the bottom, the date that I carved this, and I wrote in angel number 3. And by the way, angel number 3 will be headed to Canada. Every 90 days I give away one of my carvings. And I just had a drawing for this carving. And the winner is Kathy from Nova Scotia. So Kathy, this little angel will be headed your way. So let's do some wood burning. I'll be using a walnut hollow wire tip wood burner. This one that I'm using right here, this particular tip has a really good point to it. So I like to use that when I'm doing some really small sort of edges with the wood burning. And you can see it's very, very thin in terms of the profile of the wire tip. What I have found was, I wanted to get a wire tip wood burner, and this walnut hollow cost about $60, has an adjustable range of heat and a wire tip. And it's about the lowest cost when it comes to wire tip wood burner that I could find. I'm happy with it. It does fine for what I need. I don't do pyrography, right? I just use it for coming around the edges on some of my carvings. I'm going to start just outlining the bottom of the wings. I'll just come around the back. And as you wood burn, you find that the tip of the burner will cool off as you kind of go along and you follow a line. If you find the spot where you're not completely happy with the line you made, you can use your universal eraser, folks, your knife, to make any sort of correction. Just carve off the little burnt spot. It's pretty easy to fix. So like that. See how I just touched that arm? Yeah, I'll just take that right off. Same with painting. When you're painting, if you have a situation like that, you get some paint in an area that you didn't intend, just use that universal eraser and you'll be good to go. Let that paint dry a little bit and then cut it right off. I'm going to create a little separation here at the bottom, like that. Okay, now we'll come along the border of the hair and around the arms, just to continue. And this burnt line that we're putting in will help to keep one color of paint from running into another. So it's really good at creating that separation to help you from having some paint bleed over with your colors. Now again, on this side, I want that hair coming down and just kind of falling out and draping over the arm like that. On this side, the hair tucks behind the arm, and I will just kind of put in that notch for the elbow, separate the sleeve and the hand, and we'll do that on both sides. We'll follow along that border of the hair. And around the back of the head. there's a little spot where the head sort of peeks above the wings. And that's a little tough to get to. I'll have to trim that up a little bit. And then the last thing I'll do is just come along the outline of the face. And create the separation in those fingers and hand. So there we go with the wood burning. Now I'll show you that really simple, quick and easy finish that you can put on your carving. So here you go. Howard Feed and Wax is what we're going to be using today. And you can see on the label it says wood polish and conditioner. You can use Howard Feed and Wax after you've put a sealant on your carving. With no sealant on the carving, you can take your pick. It's a combination of beeswax, carnauba wax, and some orange oil. Has a nice citrus sort of a smell to it. And as I mentioned earlier, I used this finish on the first angel that I made because it was going to my mom, and she has a sensitivity. I didn't want to use any sort of polyurethane, polyacrylic, wood stain. I didn't want anything like that to be on the carving. And so you can use this as a way to finish your carving after you've painted with acrylics, and I'll show you that right now. So we have this example carving that I've been showing you, this angel number 3. This is on its way to Kathy up in Canada. I'm just going to take my fancy schmancy hotel toothbrush and load it up with a little bit of feed and wax. First thing I did was to shake the bottle a little bit. I wanted to make sure that the beeswax got mixed in well with the liquid ingredients. You can see it here in my brush. And just brush it on. You know, you want to let your acrylic paints cure. I would suggest probably wait a day, right? So after you've done your painting with your acrylics, give it a day, and then just come back with your Howard Feed and Wax and brush some on. And you can be pretty generous with it. You can even apply more than one coat if you desire. Just get some good coverage. You could also apply this with a rag if you wanted to instead of a brush. Won't hurt anything. Going back for more, and we'll come along the back. Now what you may find, since this has beeswax in it, if you have a carving that has some crevices in it, like say you have some hair or a beard with some detail, and you apply your feed and wax to it, you might find afterward that down in some of the crevices, some of the product may have collected and you have a little bit of wax sitting in the crevice. You can just come in there with a toothpick and clean out any residue wax afterward. It's very easy to do. This has a sort of a light orange color to it, as you can see. And, you know, I have found that there's very little impact on the color of raw wood if you were to just use this on top of a piece of wood that you did not paint. There's very little change in the color of the wood at all. And I haven't really noticed any effect on top of any colors. So don't be afraid of the color of the product turning your piece orange. It just doesn't happen. All right, so after you put that on there, the instructions on the bottle tell you to wait 20 minutes and then just wipe it off. I use a shop rag like this one right here and just wipe it off. You can use any sort of a soft cloth. And then after you wipe it off, you'll have just a touch of a sheen to your carving. It won't be a high gloss sort of a look like you see here when it's wet, okay? It'll just be a really nice subtle sheen. So it's that easy, it's that simple. Howard Feed and Wax, I do recommend it. Give it a try. Folks, I want to thank everybody for hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel. If you would like a chance to win a free carving like this one, subscribe to the channel. Every 90 days I give one away. So thanks, and we'll see you next time. How's my hair? I think I might grow out my bangs.